Welcome to Aikido of San Jose Zoom broadcast May 16th, 2020. Everybody has a connection to something that they love. They don't love it because they're going to get something. They love it because they love it. And Joseph Campbell talked about follow your bliss. Okay, that's your journey. And the world puts us in here where we got to do all these things, you know, boom, 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 responsibilities and everything, but that love. And this obscures that. Okay, so whenever you're doing something that you love, just because you love it as opposed to I'm going to get something out of it, then you're kind of a little bit on the sensei's path. You're going from I, which is selfish, to self. A kind of you see that love. When you love something just because you love it, not because you're going to get something, then there's a purity to you or me or anybody that's on that path. And so we're going to move. A lot of people love to move. Fine. You're on that path. Okay? All right? That doesn't mean you don't go to the gym to work out and lose weight and whatever it is like that. Because we have goals. But, you know, basically it is that love that sustains you. And sometimes you love something and all you get is obstacles. If you look at, because I used him earlier, is Stephen Curry. He loved basketball. He didn't get a single scholarship to a major college or university. Somebody, Bob McKillop from Little Davidson, it was Division I, saw him, offered him a scholarship, so that's where he went. But there's something there where, you know, from this guy that nobody really wanted or saw, all of a sudden he goes to the NC2A, he's a star, and nobody can explain it. Then he goes to a horrible team in the NBA, meaning the local team, and he elevates them to championship level. And so that particular thing, if you look at all of the obstacles he had to overcome to follow what he truly loved. And in the process, he's probably pretty much he is who he's supposed to be. You know, in doing that, we really find ourselves at a true level. Okay, so with that in mind, okay. Yeah, so we're going to wait for the music to come on and check the volume. Okay. Get this out of the way. And we might just start out just with the body. You can, you know, these are Aikido moves. See, I could be waving my arms around, but you know, the beat, the rhythm, the vibrational level, this is our root chakra, primal, deep. See, if it's just all up here, Aikido. So move. I want you to be able to, if you love to move, why? Why are you moving? Because you love to move. I'm going to move to get something that's I. Why don't I do that? Because you love to move. moves or Aikido moves. So pick one. Moved. Or we can say, or we could just do some of these movements. Or combine them. Just start to get that feeling. It's less like I'm moving and more than I is clearing out. Body is being invigorated by these rhythms, connecting you kind of to your deep root. If you have something and what you have, there's a light fixture there. I'm doing this in figure eights. And then from the figure eights, some of what we call the water fire, fire water changer. Thumb up from the bottom, thumb down from the top. From the top, or from the bottom. Because I like the spear concept. The long, I don't hold the middle. I hold here, the long end is what would be the spear point. The figure eights. Take a movement. See where it goes. Now we're going into movements, for example, here. So, see, it's a striking motion. Now, a spear has a tip with a couple of cutting surfaces. It can also be a cutting motion. It's a strike. Now, this is the piercing motion. And then just sort of getting yeah. When you follow something that you love, just because you love it, you become creative. Or whatever you're doing is imbued with that energy that's associated with it. You can love externals like money or fame. There's security when you do something because you love it, not what it brings you. You know what I think they'll do? That's true. This is the second chakra, kind of more around the small intestine area. Root, primal. slightly different rhythm. Say those are the same movements, but the rhythm of it. Actually, a combination of the root and the second, procreative, izanagi. So let it go. If you follow something that you love, I'm going to get something that you love. You're creative. No, beat is into that. Where it enters the field, all of a sudden the field is much more 360. You get the movements within the foot. And then, just for the sake of it, pause and check. I love to move, just to move. But check the body. Yeah, the body's getting some exercise. But my spirit, which animates the body. Got a body but no spirit. Boom, 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 boom. Kind of in my own flow. What was that? Four. Boom, boom. So just checking it out. Those rhythms are going on, but now, who am I here? Body feels much more complete, not just a squat, but see the actual, the hips are alive and knees support that. Ground is not a fixed ground. Mentally, I can see angles of things as opposed to locking into an obvious, right? In terms of martial movement, 1, 2, 3, 3 attackers, 1, 2, 3, boom, 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 oh, furies of attack. So all of a sudden I feel much more integrated. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to move back on. Yeah, and this is the third chakra which we've done. This is the here, for example, these changes. Each of these emotions. If you can't do it at that space, do it the space you can. With those basic needs, you start to catch as you let go. And then, whoa, you start to really mind the needs. Right here in this one, you're really going to catch that. It's everywhere it works. just pausing there. And again, you can check yourself out. Now, what's kind of interesting, if you're following something that you love, it's really, if you're doing that just to kind of keep up with everybody, you're going to get tired. But when you're following something that you love, you have something. Your spirit is leading the body. So the body may have its limitations due to experience or age or whatever. But when your spirit is leading the body, that's where your spirit is. If you're doing something to get something, that may be a signpost along your journey. But you get there, what do? Well, there's another signpost. But really, if that path is something, it's a major one for you, it's because you're doing it because you love it. And the signposts are just indicators that you're still on that road. Okay? And so, the problem with Aikido is that Ueshiba, that was his life. And it's really difficult for a lot of people, sometimes including myself, to really say, oh my God, what is that? I remember one time, Ano Sensei gave me this long lecture about if I was ever going to be like Sensei, I'd have to do A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K. And after about C, D, I was going, oh my gosh. And then Ano Sensei looked at me and says, and I don't want to do it either. Because if I did all those things, I wouldn't be human anymore. And so we kind of had a laugh about it after a while. But it was like, boy, it was like that. But what has sustained O-sensei along his path was he loved it. It was love that motivated him. Not power, not influence, not social standing. It was love. And so, that particular chakra beat is very demanding. And we just said, okay, we're going to do this to get a workout. Guess what? You're going to get tired. You're going to get cranky. You're going to wonder when it's going to end. But when you're in it at a certain level, none of that stuff matters. And the I will come back. If I go back right now and put it at the beginning of that chakra and go, my I is going to start to bark. But while I'm in it, in some sense, you might say the spirit is guiding the body. In Aikido, that spirit is love. He said love is the guardian deed of everything, nothing that exists without it. Aikido was the realization of love. That was a very deep thing that he, after all this training and everything, he came to that conclusion. Bu no kongen wa kami no ai nari. The source of martial arts is what he called divine love, or love of the divine, from the divine realm, or from kami no ai. Then he said, Banyu aigo no seishin nari. The spirit of loving protection for all beings. See, the I is too selfish to have that. And to some degree, when you are motivated to move from that love, without the I barking, you'll find the I comes back and barks and barks and barks. Okay, but that's what Misogi is. See, there's a difference between taiso, movement for exercise, and what is termed gyo. Gyo is, this can be exercise or it can be gyo. They're very different. So if I love it, and all of a sudden I'm doing it for exercise, my eye starts to bark. And so it's very important for me to keep tabs on that. There are certain days I wake up, or I'm sure everybody wakes up, and you don't feel like you love anything. It's a horrible time economically. I can't believe that Trump is leading in the polls in a lot of battleground states when he is a horrible president. But that's the nature of reality right now. And this political statement, I apologize for it. But the eye starts to get very, very crazy around that. And you can't disregard it. You can't disregard, the precautions that we must take in this very, very difficult and self-defining time. But if there's anything that's going to sustain us, it's love. Find something that you love. And as you pursue that, find that place where you love yourself. And that's probably a major part of the journey. So what I thought we'd do, let's see, we're going to move for a little bit more. You see the root chakra, the small intestine chakra, that's about procreation. This movement adds things about financial gain and everything, prestige, position, okay? This is personal power. I was kind of mentioning that, when I'm in that dimension, I can understand Stephen Curry's emotion, okay? But it's very important for us, and under no circumstances does he not possess the other chakras. But we're going to go into the fourth chakra now, which is heart. Throat chakra, communication. Spiritual vision, sixth chakra. Seventh chakra. It all goes out, then it comes back. And then it can go the other way. In both directions are fine. Consciousness elevating. That going towards its roots. Both are important. The movements of Aikido, you're balancing those two movements. You are the center that calibrates those two movements. And that alignment is basically, I guess, one of the ways you could look at it is love. Okay? Come on. Well, we may have to pass on that because my equipment is being faulty here. Let's see. Okay. But let's see, let's just check what the actual best angle. Okay, if I go to here, I don't have a head, so we'll keep it to the vertical. Okay, and one of the things that we're starting to emphasize is integrating, because the social distancing, when, and it will be at some point, the dojo reopens, to integrate more Tai Chi. Because Tai Chi is very good for social distancing, okay? Now, one of the fun things about Aikido is actually the the contact, the moving, the connection with your partner. Tai Chi, right now, you're establishing a connection with yourself. Okay. So I thought what we'd do is we would just for the last half hour, we would kind of introduce some Tai Chi movements. I posted 6 videos on YouTube, which pretty much show a 30 movement beginning form. Okay, so what I thought we'd do is put your hands together like this and then take them apart. Okay, now the hands are going to form fists, but they're not clenched fists. They're more like a baby's fist. Okay? And feet, heels together can work. Now, in breath, through the nose, out breath, through the nose. But breathe to your lower tummy. And the way that Master Choi put it is this baby breathing. So how babies breathe is the eye comes in, breathing gets higher. But the body of a baby is very much like a Tai Chi master. Okay? So hands in those baby fists, breathe in. Out. In. And out. We'll repeat that a couple more times. In. Out. In. And out. Let's do that again. In. Out. In. And out. And once more. In. Out. In. And out. Good. Oh. All right. And again, check the body. We're doing some movement, sound. Now that movement is the breath. Your body feels longer. And like this, everything kind of gets denser and heavier. Body feels longer. Joints feel looser. But there's a solid sense of ground, but it's not that sort of ground. So the breathing, we were moving to rhythm and music. Now we're moving to breath. Okay? So what we're going to do is just go through the opening movement for Tai Chi. Master Choi would refer to as Tai Chi Chuan. And now it's Tai Chi. Okay? In Japanese, it's Aikido. But in America, it's Aikido or Aikido Karate. No, America's karate. So, go with the flow of the culture. Let your arms hang naturally, not dead. Relax your chest. Natural breathing is the baby breathing. Don't try to, or like that. Just let it circulate. And breathe in. And out. And right here, the hands go down to waist level, fingers relax. Then you bend your knees. Okay? Breathe in. And out. Let the fingers relax about waist level. Good. All right. So we've had the breathing and the commencement motion. Now, what we're going to do, if you are interested in this, which I hope you are, then I do have, again, 6 video lessons I put on YouTube. So I will circulate them through the dojo mailing list and also the Facebook dojo page. Okay, so a lot of the stuff that we're going to go through is in much more detail on the video. Tai Chi can sort of be done as a kind of relaxation dance, but it actually has benefits. It's a very deceptive form of exercise. Okay, so one of the things that I'm going to do, change the angle, and we're going to highlight steps. Now, if you have one of these, you can use it. Okay? Now, one of the major problems for Aikidoists in Tai Chi is in Aikido, we stand in a triangle. Okay? The Tai Chi movements come out of this sort of thing. My first art was Shotokan karate, so we did a lot of work. So everything was stance. Okay? Which actually hurt me in Aikido. Robert Frazier, when I was I would get into Shihonage and get into my posture. Robert Frazier would just laugh at me and slap me across the face. So I was too locked into this. And he wanted more natural motion. But then I found Tai Chi, and Tai Chi was kind of a nice bridge, right? I used to say I was so bad that I had to do Tai Chi to get out of a lot of the conditioning of the Shotokan. But then the Tai Chi was a major thing for me. I actually got certified as a Tai Chi instructor April of 1973, just before I went for my first Japan stay. At the end of that year, I got my Shodan, my first degree black belt in Aikido. In those days, that was a big deal. Now everybody's a Shodan, sort of, okay? Or more, okay? So what we're going to do here is look at the footwork. Now what I'm going this way, turning the right foot out. So, settle in. Turn that foot out. Shift the weight. Now you're going to go onto the toes of the left foot. You're going to take a step forward, heel, toe. Back foot turns in. Knee covers toe. If it goes out, you're unstable. If you're up here, your hips are too high. The back leg is straight but not locked. Okay, and that back foot turns in because I leave it back there. My knee goes that way as my hip is turning, so you turn it in. And you'll see that I have a shoulder width between, there's a width between my feet. Okay? The length of the stance is right now. I was going to do a karate motion. See, I'm like that. Boom. But here, keeping this knee bent, you're on the toes of your other foot, heel, toe, natural. I'm not lunging into the stance. Heel, toe, knee covers toe, back foot, toe turns in. And there is this width here. So at home, if you're following me, I hope you are, and you have something like this, use it to calibrate your step. And getting that step right is vital. You can get some of the feel of the flow, but the actual step and the actual shape of the movements. See, if you just get the form of it, you don't really get the flow, the aliveness of the energy. But on the other hand, if the form is sloppy, flow goes into drift very easily. Okay, so it's a razor's edge path. There are details, so the form has a consistency, so the flow itself can grow. If the form is too rigid or too sloppy, then the flow itself, the interior, the intrinsic energy, the internal force, the life force, the chi, the ki, gets kind of like either too scattered or too low. Okay, so we're going to review that again. Turn the right foot out, but first lower the center. Shift the weight here. Raise onto the toes of your left foot. Heel, toe, knee covers toe, back foot, toe turns in. If that's straight in here, Master Joy called that 90 degrees. Your back foot turns into it's about 45. Nose and navel align here, or in certain cases, they go to the knee. Okay? So, what we're going to do is that step now with a hand motion. Now, what you find in Tai Chi, also Aikido, by the way, they're brother-sister arts. One's Chinese, one's Japanese. Okay? Hirihani Sensei told me when I first got to Japan that O-Sensei apparently was quoted as saying that, if you're going to study another martial art other than Aikido, because he thought Aikido was it, right? He said study Tai Chi. Okay? So he made some trips to China, according to certain people, to investigate Tai Chi. And when I first met Master Choi, he took a napkin and he sketched out some Chinese characters that you go to this place and that place in China, and there's a graveyard, you'll find that. And that was somebody who had contact with Ueshiba O-Sensei, was Tai Chi. Okay, so there may have been influences O-Sensei had from his stays in China or going to Manchuria. Okay? So from here, what we're going to do, and we'll do this from a variety of angles. Breathe in, shoulder level here, down to waist level. Let the fingers relax, they don't go dead. Now you turn out the right foot, shift the weight to the right. Hold a ball from underneath the left hand. You're on the toes of the left foot. Okay, now step, heel, toe. Now here the hands brush, then separate. Chest level, waist level, back foot, toe turns in. This is called grasp bird's tail, ward off, left. Okay? We're going to do that again. Breathe in. And out. Turn out the right foot. Shift the weight to the right. Lower. The left hand, you're holding the ball. You're on the toes of the left foot. Now step, heel, toe. Hands brush. Separate. Waist level. Chest level. Knee and toe go that way, nose and navel go 45 degrees in. And if this is handy, check. Knee covers toe. Unstable, too high. Okay? And if you do this, you see that there's a shoulder width there. Okay? That is one of the hardest things for Aikido, so they're used to standing in a triangle. But it's like anything. You can do something, you love it, but if you keep doing the same thing, you're going to wear your body out. So a lot of people cross-train. Okay, and what I found, I'm knocking on wood here, there are many Aikido teachers my age that can't sit anymore or do knee work. I can still sit Seizo. I can still do some knee work. Okay? And when I was in Japan, I would sometimes it'd be 3, 4, 5 classes a day. Before I went to bed, I could do a short form. It was 54 movements, not 30. Inside the little apartment room I was renting, and I would do about 30 minutes before I went to bed. And just to get the life force back into my legs. So those of you that are Aikidoers, you'll kind of find that the Tai Chi can really keep your legs strong. Okay? So let's go again. So again, relax the chest. Check your breathing, it's natural. Breathe in and out. Bend the knees. Turn right foot out. Shift the weight to the right. Left hand holds a ball. You're on the toes of the left foot. Heel, toe. Hands brush, separate. This is called ward off left, or grasp a bird's tail, ward off left. So those are the first two moves. Okay? This is somewhat detailed in part one, which I will post online. Okay? And so when you have that, then what you get is, you get a precision in the movements, all right, which is important. See, this may be fun for a while, but then it starts to kind of drift. And, just being a, karate person, if I get to like that, then I've lost the benefit of it. So there's a flow. But then the form itself, also promotes that flow. And the flow promotes the form to be deeper, more alive. And the Do Sensei in Aikido likes to talk about frame and flow. There's a frame, but then there's an interior flow. If you really get the flow, the frame tends to kind of also come in. And conversely, if you get the frame properly, there's a feeling the flow, its partner will come in. So that I've always thought that was a really good explanation, not just for Aikido, but for Tai Chi. Okay? Now what we're going to do now is do another step. This is again, what we're really doing is going through the first two lessons, but you start here, we're just going to go through the feet. Now we went 90 degrees, here, axis, 90 degrees to that, straight ahead. This time what we're going to do, we're going to step with the right foot, but we're going to turn the left foot out, shift the weight to the left. Now we're going to raise onto the toes of the right foot. And we're going to take a 30-degree step, heel, toe. You see right here, your knee covers toe, your back foot turns in. And you check here, but you also check here. And you'll see back there, I'm not tightrope walking. Okay? Just getting those steps to where they're consistent, you are putting in a certain amount of focused practice to lay a foundation for flow. Here, see, weight is on my left. On the toe of the right, I'm going to step 30 degrees. Heel, toe, knee covers toe, back foot, toe turns in. Now here, nose and navel don't face the knee, but they face in the same direction. As I shift the weight back, they don't point towards the knee and the toe, but they're aligned, same direction. But you keep the knees bent. Knee covers toe. See, the back leg goes this way. I don't overturn, I lose my balance. And, okay. So that is something, if you're into Tai Chi, that you practice. I had, at that time, a good base for that because I did the Shotokan. Okay? Aikido gives you a feel for energy, but the Tai Chi actual movement, I think, is better for your legs. The Aikido triangular twisting and turning is fun. Okay? But Tai Chi is more of a square base. Aikido, you start in a triangular base, you rotate, at the very end, there's kind of a square, okay? Tai Chi is almost like you start from a square, and then there's circular movement, and then there's a triangle or release point. Boom. It's primarily a striking motion, or boom. And Sadaharu put it very well. Because they didn't let him study Aikido on the mat, but he studied Aikido principles. And he said that all power, boom, is triangular. See, I've got to turn the hip, extend the arms, boom, and meet the ball. Not in a swinging motion, but really like a swordsman cutting. And the second I hit the ball, boom, there's that follow through. Boom. Okay? And Curry starts in a square. He gets a rotation, and the release of the ball is triangular. Aikido, for whatever reason, goes triangle, circle, square. But, you know, if you watch what Sadaharu did, and you watch Stephen Curry, they go square, circle, triangle. Which is correct? Who knows? But the Tai Chi can help you by keeping your legs strong. Okay, all right? Okay, so now what we're going to do is go into a hand motion from the 30-degree step. So I'm going to turn the left out. I'm going to shift the weight to the left. I'm on the toes of my right foot, but I keep that leg bent, 30-degree step. Heel, toe, back foot in. Now we're going to instant replay. This time we're going to hold the ball with the right hand underneath. Turn the toe out, step. This is called right push upward. And knee and toe, nose and navel, same direction, but you don't twist the navel towards the knee. And this is nose to height. And this is like you're taking your pulse. Push upward, right side. Right hand underneath. Shift the weight completely there onto the left foot, around the toes, step. Heel, toe, back foot, turns in. The hand goes up in an arc, nose tip height. Nose and navel face the same direction. This is push upward. All right, push upward is a very, very important move. Each of these things has a self-defense application, which Master Troy would demonstrate. Those of you that do kokyu nage, right, it can be very much like a kokyu nage throw. Okay? Right? So, let's repeat that once again. Knees bent, turn out the left. Shift the weight to the left, keep the knee bent on the toes of the right foot. Turn the waist a little bit, heel toe, 30 degrees. Back foot here, front foot here. Now, let's hold the ball, go back here, and form push upward. It's very important. If I'm too sloppy with the form, it feels good to start out, but then again, that flow becomes drift. Okay, and if I'm too locked into the form, my system can't allow the energy to flow. So it's razor's edge path there, which you may find frustrating or fascinating. Okay? Now what we're going to do, and this is a combination of lessons 1 and 2, part 1, part 2. So I'll see about putting them both there. Okay, now we're going to go, this time we're going to go back to the left foot step, which means we're going to bend the knees, turn the right foot out. We're going to shift the weight to the right. It's very important to keep that knee bent. Okay? You're on the toes, so you're going to step, heel, toe. Knee covers toe, back foot, toe turns in, check. Now here, keep the weight on that foot. Do not stand up. Now, shift onto the toes of the left foot. This is hard. You're going to step heel, toe, 30 degrees. Back foot turns in. Okay? Now for Aikido, what you'll find is Tai Chi will really, oftentimes the steps are more extended than Aikido, but they teach you to loosen the hips up. Okay? So this is a very difficult step. Now you keep that, you raise onto the toes, but you turn the waist. You don't just step or you tightrope walk. You turn the waist, open the hip step, turn the back foot. And just getting that step right, you have to sort of practice it until you get a bit of consistency. You don't master it overnight, but you can start to get a feel and a sense of consistency. And then, simply put, we tie together the 2 hand movements. Here, the first one, left hand was underneath. The second step, right hand was underneath with the ball. Okay? And this is how we do it. All that information, you start to just make sure you're relaxing the chest. And your breathing is natural, it's like a baby. Breathe in and out. Let the fingers relax. Turn out the right foot, shift the weight to the right. You're going to hold the ball, left hand underneath. You're on the toes of the left foot, weight on the right, heel, toe. Hands brush, separate, make sure that back foot turns toe in. Now, right hand goes underneath. You're onto the toes of the left, step, heel, toe, push upward. Okay? Now, one of the things that is interesting is that, basically, if I go in here, I realize that what you're really seeing, because what I'm seeing is a mirror image of me, not me. Okay? And this can be somewhat challenging, but when you're facing me, you're basically moving like you are looking in a mirror.
We don't see you as a mirror, Sensei.
You don't? Oh,
no,
okay.
you see a mirror image so you can keep track of which side you're on, but we see the true image.
Oh, really? Okay. Now what I'm going to do is face this way. Okay? So you get a back view. Okay? Which is usually what would happen in class. Okay? Master Troy would stand in front, and he would demonstrate the movements, and you would copy it. Then he would form a circle, and he would explain the movements in the middle of the circle. Then you would go back to here. So let's try this. That's what it looks like from that angle. Okay? If you were to look at it from this angle. Okay? So one thing that we have right there is we have the first 3 movements, okay? And so that's covered. The first 2 movements and the basic steps are in the part 1 video, okay? The introduction. Part 2, we go into the push upward, and then we go through a couple of other things. For example, here, we've done this a bit here, nose and navel, face, knee and toe. They don't twist and face the knee here. Now they're aligning facing the same direction as back foot, knee and toe. Okay, so one thing you see is now pull back, press forward, and push. And that takes you almost through the first 2 lessons. In the video, because I'm just laying it out, we do one more move, but what we're going to do is we're going to try the movements from push upward, okay? And I'm going to get a little better here. So step with me. Now lower the left hand. Turn the left palm towards you. Right palm is your nose tip height. Right? Pull back, returning the body. Now you're facing the same direction as your knee and toe. Lower the right hand so it's chest level. Put the palm against the wrist. Circle here. This is called press forward. Now extend the arms. And that's called push. Now the push motion is not a turn. Push motion is straight back, straight forward. But see, instead of push this way, see, it goes to nose tip height, sinks to chest level, and okay. So we're going to repeat that. I'm starting right foot lead here, weight on the toes, but the weight is back. Now turn the toe. It's very important. You turn the toe of the back foot in. This comes up in an arc. This is nose tip height. Lower the left hand, pull back. Lower the right hand, press forward. This is chest level. Now let the arms extend naturally out. And this is called push. Don't see, there's a circle here. Okay, all right? So those are pretty much the first 2 lessons, although we're covering them in record time. Okay. Let me check the charging, see where that's going or not. Oh my God, it is working. It is charging up, so we're fine. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through the commencement all the way through the push motion. So relaxing the chest, breathing naturally, that's very important. I'm already thinking about what I'm going to do. I'm just going to relax. For a second, you're going to be like a baby. Breathe in and out. Now, turn out the right foot, shift the weight to the right. Left hand holding a ball. You're on the toes of the left foot. Step, heel, toe. This is word off left. Make sure that back foot turns toe in. Now, right hand holds the ball. Turn, the weight is back on the left. Step, heel, toe, 30 degrees. Push upward. Pull back. Press forward. And push. Okay. If you have something that you can check, you check that. You check that. And you check that that back foot toe is turned in. Okay? And we try this again. Breathe in and out. Now the right foot, shift the weight to the right. Left hand underneath, holding a ball. You're on the toes of the left foot with the right foot bent. Heel toe steps. Turn the toe in. Right hand, palm up, holding a ball. Weight back on the toes of the right foot, step, heel toe. Push upward, now turn the left foot in. Pull back. Press forward. And push. Now here at the end of the push, notice the arms are not. Nose to hip height, so it goes to nose to hip height, sinks to chest level, extends out. But the arms are still in a circle, so not like that. Okay? So that is, let's just see. I'm checking. Whoops. All right. Any questions on any of the movements of the Tai Chi? Anybody? You don't have to. If you're interested, then we're thinking what we should do is integrate into the Aikido classes online some of the Tai Chi movements. Because when we do reopen, Tai Chi is very good for social distancing. The one thing that Tai Chi tends to lack is the Aikido kind of has a social dimension to it because you're working with somebody in very close proximity. The Tai Chi has joint hands, which is that. Several things. The pull back motion is very much like elbow, wrist, can be like an Ikkyo motion. Press forward, very much like Kotegaishi. It's not one for one, there are a lot of different usages. The push can be very much like Kokyu-ho. Kokyu-ho is done with the hands here. The Tai Chi uses the palm. You can do Kokyu-ho this way because it's really about catching the updraft of the energy. But a lot of Aikido, your hand is in this. Tai Chi, your hands are palm. Okay? So they're very similar. And what the Tai Chi allows you to do is, one, really slow stretching without forcing, but you are getting down. Okay? One thing I kind of like is the word off left. You see basketball players this way because they're dribbling. They dribble this way to be taken away, but if they can put this hand up. They can't do that, but they can do ward off and dribble this way. And then Curry can go between the legs, or if somebody cuts them off, he can, right? And you see a lot of basketball, of all the sports, basketball to me is the closest to Aikido. You see the sphere, the crossover motion, the spherical use of the hands, the quick rotation of the hips and the feet, boom, boom. Okay, so there's that. And so today we covered some of the staff movements and moving to the different levels or dimensions of the chakra. We actually made it all the way through, the third chakra today, which is the real workout chakra. And then we kind of segued into the Tai Chi movement. So we'll be adding some, and if you're interested, I will post the instructional videos that I've done online for the dojo mailing list email, and also the dojo group, not the page, but the group. Okay. So anyway, any questions so far? Anybody out there with a question? How was the Tai Chi for some of you? David, anything?
I'm glad to be getting back to this. I was working on it by myself, but it helps to have some refresher.
Yeah, what you kind of find is that if you don't get some sort of regular stuff with the Tai Chi, it tends to kind of drift. Okay, and there was a guy who wanted to become a Tai Chi instructor, so he went up to Master Choi and said, "I'd like to be a Tai Chi teacher. Can I teach?" And Master Choi said, "Absolutely not." And so what Master Choi said, it was very interesting because this guy came up to me and says, "You got to do what Jack Wada did," which means I took maybe about 5 or 6 beginning courses from him. And, then I would also go to, you would twice a month, first and third Saturdays when he had the use of the Chinese YMCA on Sacramento Street, he would have what he called the club meetings. So you could go and you could practice, okay, with him. And what I kind of found, there's kind of like the Green Lantern comics, where he has this power ring and he can do all these magical things with the ring. But that ring has to go to his power battery to charge up every so many whatever. Okay, and if he runs out of power, then the ring is just useless. He's got to charge it up. Okay, so one of the things I kind of found was I just practice on my own was kind of when I was watching Master Choi move. He was like the power battery and I was like the power ring. I would always get something. It was almost like he had that, here's a master. And I could practice and practice. And so ironically, it was kind of like I wasn't doing that because, like taking the beginning course again and again and again. See, after a while, he wouldn't charge me for the beginning course. He just would let me come in because he could demonstrate certain things with me. And so, I paid for probably about the first 3, and then the last 3, I was helping him set up courses in Davis, UC Davis, and Santa Cruz. So he taught there, and he didn't even charge me. So that was kind of cool. And then I was going to Japan, and I said I wouldn't see him for a little bit because I figured I'd be gone for a year, and I was pretty much, it was a short year, but it was pretty much a year. And he said, "Oh, I'll certify you before you leave, if you want." And I said, "Really?" But that came out of left field. So, you grab at it because, going to Japan and I'm a first degree brown belt, right? I'm not a black belt. Black belt was a big thing in those days. I mean, black belt was Robert Nadeau, Robert Frazier, Frank Duran. They were just the teachers were black belts. And there were a couple of scattered people who had gotten rank in the States, and so, I got my Tai Chi certificate before I went there. So it was kind of like, Frank Duran just came up to me and says, "Yeah, we wish we could send you to Japan as a shodan." But he says, he just put it politics. So I said, "I understand." Okay. So, but Master Choi gave me that teaching certificate. And I have it in the office in the dojo. And I got my 7th degree black belt thing from Tokyo. And I have this crazy sheet that says I'm a Shihan through the Aiki, right? That's signed by Doshu. And I got this letter from Mr. Tani saying, "You are now a Shihan. And congratulations, be aware, it gives you no real power, but it's a title." I got all those things up there on the wall. But above those is my Tai Chi certificate I got from Master Choi. And I didn't do that intentionally. But in a lot of ways, as good as everybody is in Aikido, Master Choi was a master. And the way that Tojima Sensei put it, he was visiting in 79. He said, "There's only one master in Aikido, and that's O-Sensei." And these days, you find out, so many people, master. And I go, no, there's only one master in Aikido. And that is O-Sensei. I still believe that. But Master Choi was a master. And it's a funny thing. So, I would sort of like, he was kind of like this larger source. And if I was around him, I would kind of recharge, right? And then, when I was leaving, I've been with him probably for, about 3 years, really, right? And taken a bunch of different courses. And so he said, yeah, I'll certify you. So I went, wow, that's an honor. So I have that, if you go to the office, and it wasn't intentional, but there was, I put all that other stuff there. Then I found my Tai Chi certificate, which was in storage. So I put it up there. There wasn't any space on the lower wall. So I put it at the very top. But if you look at it positionally, I mean, I was that before I was anything in Aikido. And I always practiced when I was in Japan. When my legs were tired, I would still do the Tai Chi before I went to sleep, just to kind of get some life force back into my legs. And a lot of the other people that have been training, they can't sit anymore, or they can't do knee work anymore. And, following limitations, because my knees are, 72 years old this June, I can still do knee work. And without pushing it, I can still pretty much take falls, okay? And so, I think a lot of that is because of the Tai Chi. So anyway, what I thought was this, anybody who wants to, because the iPad is charged up, it was running out. I'm gonna go back into the kitchen. And if you like, I'm going to read some of the O-Sensei stuff. So today we started out a little bit more with movement, and the iPad needed charging, so I came in here where I could charge it. But I'm going to go back, and nobody, you don't want to do it, you don't have to stay. But I'm going to read a couple things from O-Sensei, which I have been doing at the beginning. Okay? So anyway, let's move. Those of you that want to check out, feel free to do that. That's not something that is a requirement. So what I tend to do, is I can't just open something and just figure there's something for me to study. Okay, so this is a book called The Heart of Aikido. Okay, now that's not to be confused with another excellent book, which is Linda Holliday Sensei's Journey to the Heart of Aikido. This is a book translated by John Stevens, who took a series of lectures that O-Sensei did not for Aikido, but for a religious group, the Byakko Shinko Kai. And one of his friends, he was a friend, was Masahisa Koi. And so he gave lectures there about Aikido, but it was to a different audience. And so, okay, so we'll just read and then we'll see where it goes. It won't be very long. The world emanated from one source, evolving into body and spirit, an outer and an inner, through the interaction of fire-water elements. Okay, so it goes back to the ancient creation myths. Izanagi, Izanami, creating the islands of Japan with the magical spirit. And he talks about the one source. And O-Sensei references it. He says we all come out of the one source. Okay, but that one source had to kind of divide into two to create one by itself. There always has to be something else for there to be an interaction. Okay? And if we all come out of one thing, we come out of parents, unless we're immaculately conceived, which I don't qualify for. Okay? You need two. So at the very beginning of the universe, he labeled it Izanagi, Izanami, Amaterasu Omikami, Susano Omikami, fire, water. evolution unfolds through the principle of one source, 4 souls, 3 elements, and 8 powers. So he had a design for the universe. There was a 1, but that 1 had to go into 2. Now he goes 1, 4, 3, 8. And he said that's the design of the universe. So everything comes out of something. Goes into 4, goes into 3, and then into 8. And from 8 into 16, 32, 64, da, 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 da. And so that part of it is he's talking about creation. Everything comes out of one thing, goes back to the one thing. But in order to go out, evolve, unfold, create itself, it must become 2. Now, where's the 2? That's a big mystery. But if we go back into the Fibonacci number system, 1, see that's unique because any 2 numbers that you add in that sequence produces the next number. So it goes 1, 1, 3, 5. And you just keep going that way. 8. So it seems like there's a couple of numbers missing. But part of that, I did this once. You go 1, and then you add 1, and then they become 3, okay, because you go this way, you add 1 more, and you go that way. Then you unfold that way, which you get is a logarithmic spiral. And so what fascinated me about the Fibonacci system is that numbers come into physical form. And so 1, 4, 3, 8. And let's just say that one thing had to become 2. But one source or first soul, first consciousness. And then it goes into the 4 souls. And, they represent the Shikon is the way it's put in Japanese, the 4 souls, the 4 spirits can be translated. Soul and spirit are, it's very difficult to, what is it, soul or spirit, okay? But the Kushimitama is heaven. The Aramitama, fire. The Nigi-mitama, water, harmony, beauty. The Sachi-mitama, earth, ground. So there is a 1, because it was that 1, if you're going to create something like the universe or yourself, if you want to create yourself to be stupid, the Kushimitama is like a heaven element, the original consciousness, which becomes maybe later mind. The Aramita, you want to have something that's powerless. Aramitama, fire, strength, power, raw force of nature. Do you want something disharmonious and ugly? The Nigi-mitama, water, harmony, beauty. And then it's all abstract. Sachi-mitama, earth, ground. So there was that one thing that just because there was that one thing had these 4 sub-elements just because it could. And then you have the Iku-musubi, Tada-musubi, Tamatsume-musubi, which is the 3 elements, 3 fundamentals, 3 origins. It's translated in many different ways, the Sangen. And Ikumusubi, triangle. Harumusubi, circle. Tamatsume musubi, square. But you can say they also represent those three: dimensionality, physical dimension, hidden dimension, energy movement, divine consciousness, self in its true nature, square. And then they go into the 8 powers, okay, which is kind of in creation. You have these different powers that are still one and one, okay? Motion, stillness, expansion, contraction, tension, release. Unification, everything goes back. Division, everything goes out into a myriad of things. So any of those any of those two powers as yin yang to one another start to get you back to the original. And in creation, we have the 8 powers. The 3 represent a dimensional journey, as opposed to pounding away at one. You go finer to finer to finer to more original. Gets you back to the design of everything, which is in the 4 aspects of the soul, not just soul, the ichire, the first soul. And then that takes you back to the one source. And it goes, then goes out from the one source. Unification, oneness. Division becomes all of that, 8 powers, 16, 32, 64, 120, whatever, back to the source. Okay, and conversely can go the other way. We're out here, we go back to the source. From the source, it goes out, comes back to itself. Okay, so the movements of the staff, the Tai Chi movements, because you're working breath, in breath, out breath. Yin to yang, yin back to yang. All right, one foot always has a weight, the other foot is more insubstantial. You start to do that. And then, it's a journey, 1 to 4 to 3 to 8. And so when he really talks about the truth of the universe and the function of Takemusu, Aiki, and it goes back to what we were trying to say at the beginning. The original pair, Izanagi, Izanami, had an attraction, a love for one another. If they didn't, everything would have just stayed chaotic. That one thing was probably one of those things that you would say it's everything, no time, no space. Everything was happening simultaneously. So it was both everything and nothing. So it had to kind of organize itself, give itself a consciousness, a soul. And then as that soul started to feel itself a little bit more, I'm going to create something. I'd like it to be strong or powerful, but I'd like it to be beautiful. I'd like it to be intelligent. And I'd like all of that to be loving. So love ties everything together. And so martial arts, when you're working at yin yang, you are going back to the original. And things start to emerge from that original. Even in that original state, for it to quiet down, feel itself, give itself a soul, it had to some degree love itself. And then, as it felt itself a bit more completely, you have the 4 aspects of itself. And it kind of went into the, almost he manifest hidden divine dimensionality. You can slice it up more than three. And then in creation, you have the 8 powers, or the 16 and the 32, 64, 128. It keeps on going. And as it fragments, it gets denser. As it goes back to itself, it goes back finer, manifest to hidden. Finally, that divine, the original, we're going back towards the one. And there's I. So Sensei says it's Misogi. Misogi is necessary because I is selfish. As I goes more towards self, see, there's love here, but it's selfish love. So as we go through Misogi, we start to purify the I as it's moving towards self. The journey out and back, or this way, has less I in it and more self. And since they got to pretty much the one source, are very close to it. And so, at that level, the energies, the forces of creation, were pretty much divine. So they were, quote unquote, kami. And he used the Shinto mythology and the Shinto references to diagram the universe and self in creation. The universe is a creation. We are out of that, so we are also a creation. We can, through Misogi, create ourselves to go back to the more original design where everything came out of one. And so the binding force of all that is love. He said nothing can exist without it. It's the guardian deed of everything. If you love something, you'll protect it, you'll nurture it. If you can't love yourself, you can't love anything else. But on the other hand, what we're saying, when you do something because you love it, you're finding yourself in that. If you do something because you want something, there's love there, but it's selfish love. So as the I goes more towards the self, love starts to go back to its more original. And I believe that love, that original love, is what holds the universe together. The universe is very vast, but we basically exist in a material realm. And there's no reason why we should have these shapes and forms, because all matter is really empty space and subatomic particles moving really fast. And anything that's empty is just really a field, a collection of magnetic fields. And yet here we are in this very dense thing. And Sensei kind of says, okay, through the body, find what he calls the spirit. You need the spirit to get back to the original love, because the I tends to cloud everything. So following that love back to itself, you find spirit, and spirit strengthens you. And that's the overriding thing about Aikido. What I'm going to do is, are there any questions about it? We usually do this at the beginning of class, but since the iPad kind of went on a funny direction today, we wound up kind of doing this at the end. But see, for me, this is actually what's fascinating about it. Okay, I'm still doing this stuff 50 years in. Why? When I was younger, you get the dojo, you work out, you have new experiences, your own things. But the soul is on a journey back to itself as one with that original source. And wherever we are, as we go back, as you follow that path of love, oftentimes there are difficulties. That's why it's a journey. Again, what I mentioned was, Stephen Curry. His father was a top professional and all-star. But he was not highly regarded because he was small. And everybody looked at his game and they were looking for the next LeBron James. And they looked at him and said, you're too small. You're not athletic enough. You have skills, but they'll eat you up at the professional level. He wasn't offered a single scholarship to a major college. And finally, he went to Davidson because he was offered a full scholarship to this funny little place that was nothing basketball-wise. But he took that team one year all the way to the Elite Eight. So the Elite Eight, is kind of like the numerology of it. There's a whole field of teams. But then, they call it the Sweet 16. In other words, you keep winning. It's one elimination. And then you get to the Elite Eight. And then if you win your game, you get to the Final Four. And then you get to the finals. I don't know if they have a name for that one. But if you make the Sweet 16, you're something. If you make the Elite Eight, you're something. Now, Curry took this little tiny school all the way to the Elite Eight, and they could have won that game and gotten to the Final Four, but he passed the ball instead of taking the shot himself. Okay? But he, through all that in that journey, he had to overcome all that. And so, one of the things we all have, if you really say you love something, at some point, there are things you've got to overcome. And one of the major things we have to overcome is I. That's why Sensei said in Masakan, true winning is agatsu, victory over self. And the last part of that was somebody we heard all the time. Hikizuchi Sensei loved it. And when I got back, there was a scroll on Robert Nadeau Sensei's living room where he held his meditation. And it's Katsu Hayahi, that speed which transcends time and space. And, abstracting it a bit, that's the championship. So if you follow the path of love, you have to win over yourself or you get caught up in the selfish love. But that motion back, I to self, and there will be hardships. If you really love Aikido, right now the dojo is closed or online, which is good, okay? Because it forces us to reevaluate Aikido in ourselves. And that oftentimes is hard. If we're running into I, that's what will happen. At some point, if you're following that path of love, you'll run into I. And I may come up as the world. All of a sudden, I flares up. And you go a little deeper, and the I will flare up again. I mean, Curry was told repeatedly he wasn't good enough. And he would never make it. From high school, he never would make it in college. From college, he would never make it in the pros. In the pros, he would never be outstanding. He's the only player in NBA history who was a unanimous MVP. And he won that 2 years in a row. And so, to me, yeah, I'm a Warrior fan, so I happen to love Stephen Curry, but he represents somebody who's following the path in his own lineage of Takemusu. And most champions do that. They have to overcome stuff. Einstein had to overcome the fact that he was a patent clerk because he was not viewed as a top student. He couldn't get a position at a university. Well, he won a Nobel Prize. Everybody knows who Albert Einstein is now. And there are a lot of better mathematicians, a lot of people that got positions at university that aren't remembered anymore. So there's something about that. Now for Einstein, it was curiosity and imagination. He loved to explore. So people, in fact, what I'm going to say is that both Curry and Einstein share the same birth date, March the 14th. I don't think that is anything random. Einstein took Newton's stuff, totally expanded our sense of what space and time are. And then our sensei said, Katsu Hayabi, no time, no space. Time and space are things that are created. To go back to the one, that created time space. There's no time or space for that. And what did that one thing have to do was love itself enough to become conscious. You can't create without a consciousness. So everything goes back to that original love. We come out of that love. And Sensei says this many things. We are the offspring of Izanagi, Izanami, who are energies. We come out of the one source that had to Izanagi, Izanami in order to create both the universe and us. So the lessons of Takemusu Aiki are vital. And Joseph Campbell put it, he says, follow your bliss. Anyway, are there any questions? There's a lot there that we keep hammering away on. The more you hammer away on, the more people go, or wow for a while, and then or what's next? So anybody with a question on any of that or anything we've done today? Anybody? Okay. I think what we'll do then is I'll sign off for today. Okay, David, thank you for all your help. I hope you enjoyed the Tai Chi section. And what I will do is I will put online basically the first two Tai Chi lessons. So if you see, one of the things about it is that, in Aikido, you go to a class and you have the interaction. The Tai Chi is something that I hope you will practice on your own. In Aikido, there's Misogi exercises you can do. To be honest with you, I don't do that. I mean, I can, and or weapons. I do movement with the weapons, but to me, that's a Misogi. I do it because I love that stuff. Okay? I do it if, for whatever reason, I wasn't, there was no dojo, I would still do it. I play music because I love it. Everything I try to do, now there's other stuff that comes with it, like learning at school or dealing with, with Aikido in this crisis right now with coronavirus. But that's part of the journey. And if we find that original thing that drew us to something, we're following the path of Takemusu. You see, it's a very funny thing, and it's very individual. It's very individual. What I love may not be the thing that stirs you to pursue that. But the Aikido, you see, it's not supposed to be something that, all of a sudden we become an invincible martial arts master. It's for us to reach a level of enlightenment, to give ourselves the tool to find our own journey. Maybe that journey is Aikido, and maybe it's something else. I mean, to me, a lot of basketball. I always had a lot of talent. But, after 50 years in Aikido, I can move much better than I did when I was, in basketball playing years. All right, I can translate what I see into motion. I couldn't do that when I was that young. Now, I'm 73 years old, so the Golden State Warriors are not going to offer me a contract. That's okay. But Stephen Curry, at the end of his documentary, said something I thought that was really profound. That was The Rising. It's about street ball or improvisational basketball in Japan. And it's pure Takemusu. Go onto YouTube, The Rising, Steph Curry, and it'll come up. It's about 25 minutes. And what those kids are doing is amazing. They even out-Curry at it, okay? And at the very end, and I mentioned this at the beginning, so if it's a repeat, you're going, we should shut up, and I know that's probably the case. Curry puts it this way, he's teaching women. Because most of those camps that top professionals teach are for men. He's teaching women, and they are great. Even though it's a basketball camp about shooting and everything, that's impressive development. But he just says, look, basketball, you may not make it to the NBA, but basketball will take you somewhere. Which means when you follow something because you love it, it will take you somewhere. And for me, the basketball, because that's what I did physically when I was a lot younger, took me to Aikido. And it's ironic. I mean, if I had everything now that I was 16 to 18, I'm small, but I probably could have played professionally somewhere, maybe Turkey or somewhere. You see what I mean? But my path was different. But there was almost an insane love taking a ball and feeling that rhythm where it just went through the hoop. And then watching. I mean, Curry to me is just like he's a master. And so all of us have that inside us. It's just, we follow this and we get caught up in the selfish aspects of things. But the great players, the truly great ones, they do it because they love it, not because they make money or get the fame and the endorsement contracts. Okay? But the same thing, Aikido is supposed to teach us about love. Hikizuchi sensei used to say, Aikido wa ai no kyoiku de aru. Aikido is an education in love. Because if we can find what we love and we pursue it past I, it takes us to ourselves. Okay? And we can get very attached to things like a school, doing Aikido in a dojo setting. But those of you that are tuning in, thank you. Because what you're doing is you must love Aikido past the outer of it. That doesn't mean that other people don't. But it's so easy to get caught up in the social element of it. And that is important. If all it does is just go this way, somebody has to reignite it. Not that it's in any problems, but, Aikido doesn't really need another O-sensei. Aikido needs us to find our own Stephen Curry. He's not O-sensei. He's not going to be doing that stuff when he's 80 some odd years old. But he's a great example of somebody who followed the path of love, therefore it's Takemusu. And yeah, he succeeded against all odds. And there were many people that wrote him off every single time he was going to go from one level to the next. And he managed to stay true. Okay? And no sensei was that. He said, Masaka, true victory. Agatsu, win over yourself. Katsu hayabi, that speed which transcends time and space. That's the championship level. Okay? Which to be honest with you, I can aspire to. but I don't really think that I'll reach Sensei's level of it. But that's part of the journey. That's part of the fun, right? You do it just because. You do it because you love it. And that's vital. You know, really, what we really need in this world is we need political leaders who love from that pure place as opposed to what they get out of being a leader. And if we had that, the world would be better. So maybe one of those will come into being through Aikido, maybe one of you. Okay? Anyway, I'm going to call that for today. Thank you for hanging with me. Okay? Thank you very much. Thank you.